What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing today? Back working on the iPad. I'm actually trying to see if I can just make this my one device for everything where I don't have to use my MacBook Pro anymore. But anyway, let's get on with today's topic, which is there racism at the Department of Veterans Affairs? So, as everybody's probably aware, yes, there is, okay? Um, Not everyone thinks the same. Not everybody believes in the same things. And you're going to have people at the Department of Veterans Affairs who don't like you simply because of the color of your skin. So let me see who's on with me real quick. What's up, Freddie? How you doing today? Shrimp fried rice. What's going on with you today? Okay, so I have several relatives as well as friends who work at the Department of Veterans Affairs. And I have to tell you guys, man, they told me stories in the past, and I'm like, wow, stuff like that really happened. So I'm going to share some of those with you guys today. What's up, LJ? How you doing? So I'm going to share some of those stories with you guys today. Some of those have been in the news. For example, there was a situation in Maryland. There's a guy who went to his superior, complained about a situation that happened with an employee, where the employee referred to them as a monkey. They went to their supervisor, told their supervisor what the situation was. By the time they got back to their desk, they had a note on their desk with a noose, basically threatening him. Okay? That's what some of these employees go through at the Department of Veterans Affairs. And it kind of gives you a different perspective when you go to the VA and you see a person of color, whether Hispanic, Asian, Latino, Hispanic, African American, whatever other race other than white, your perspective kind of changed because people of color make up about a third of the Department of Veterans Affairs. VA patients, there's about 23% that are people of color, right? And over half of the COVID cases are all people of color. Over half. Out of 23%, right, of VA patients currently at the Department of Veterans Affairs, half of those are people of color. It's incredible. Now, here's some information that you guys may not have been aware of that happened in President Trump's last year of office. The VA, as well as all federal employees, were supposed to take an anti-racism class. They were going to offer these classes to all federal employees. This was supposed to begin in August. No, actually, it was supposed to begin in May of 2020. President Trump, as well as the Secretary of the VA, nixed it, said that it wasn't necessary to have anti-racism classes at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Even though when the Department of Veterans Affairs union, and their union has about close to 300,000 out of the 400,000 employees at the VA, did a survey. They asked the union members, what percentage would you give of VA employees being subjected or being around people who are racist at the VA? You want to know what the number was of people who responded and said that it was moderate to severe racism at the VA? 78% out of 270,000 employees who were union members responded back with, it is moderate to serious racism at the Department of Veterans Affairs. Now, how does that affect veterans today? Well, you got to understand that some of these people who harbor these feelings are some of the same people who make decisions about your claim, or some of the same people who make decisions about vote rehab, the same people who make decisions when it comes to your appeal, Board of Veterans Affairs, so on and so forth. There's many situations that I can bring up and many examples of veterans who have minute issues who are 100%. And you have veterans who are in wheelchairs that can barely walk, that can barely talk, and they're only getting 40%. Now, with today's era, it's not as bad as it has been in the past. With World War II veterans, with Vietnam veterans, hell, even veterans from my generation, from the 90s. Because this whole thing with veterans and all these different veteran benefits and so on and so forth, that's Johnny come lately. It wasn't always that way. And people who are from my era will tell you, it wasn't always that way in the 90s. And I know it wasn't that way for you guys who were in the 80s, the 70s, and beyond. It wasn't that way. Okay? Who else we got here? Mr. Miles, how you doing today? Mr. Thompson, what's going on with you today? So I bring that all up to say this, man. If you feel, and this is real talk, if you feel that the VA is discriminating against you, you need to use the proper channels at the VA and move up the line, all the way up to the press if you need to, okay? Use that tool, which is the press. If anything, the U.S. government is not trying to get a bad press, especially the VA. After all the crap that they've been through, the last thing they want on their plate is another veteran coming out basically proving how they're discriminated against them. That's why I say go to the press as a last resort. Your first step would be to contact the, I can't remember what you call it now. I just had it in my head. But there's an office at your VA that you can talk to that deals with discrimination. If you can't get anywhere with them, then you move the line to the Inspector General's office. If you can't get anywhere with the Inspector General's office, then you go to your congressperson or your senator for that state. They still don't want to do anything, and you got evidence in your hand showing them what the VA is doing, you take your butt to your local news station, or you contact any of these other cable networks like CNN, MSNBC, Fox, or whoever. Doesn't matter. You go to some of those stations. They're going to take that story. Because one, you're a veteran. Two, you're a person of color. That's always going to draw interest. And three, they don't want the bad press. Okay? I'm trying to tell you guys the truth when it comes to this stuff. Most of the time, when it gets to your congressperson or your senator, they know if you've gone that far with it, you're willing to take it all the way. So they'll usually step in and say something, or at least make a phone call, have some supervisor or some review officer contact you, and you'll get a phone call out of nowhere of them trying to explain why they did what they did. All right? But for those of you who are out there and you feel like something's not right, in some instances, it's not right. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you it is. And I can tell you it's not just because most people would think, well, it's mostly in the South. No, it ain't just in the South. There's a lot of cases, man, when it comes to like current cases of racism, of the Inspector General's office investigating racism. New York is among them. Delaware is among them. California is among them. Okay, and then you got your normal Alabama, Florida, Minnesota, all those states, Oklahoma, Missouri, all those states are being investigated as well currently by the Inspector General's office for issues of discrimination, not just with employees, but with veterans themselves. Because I shouldn't say most, but there are a lot of veterans that work at the Department of Veterans Affairs. There are a lot of veterans. So they know what they hear and what they see. And they see a lot of people that come in there who are 100%, man. And I'm telling you, they walk just fine. They walk in and out just fine. It's not like they go on the site for PTSD. And they got 100% ratings, and they don't even understand how these people get 100 when you got other people in there on breathing machines, in wheelchairs, limbs missing, and they're only 30 and 40%. And usually they're people of color. What else we got here? If you want to experience and be part of a live minstrel show, simply go to the nearest VA minstrel show. Okay, I got to go to the local VA, the nearest VA. It's sad, man, but it's true that even in 2021, there are still people out there, and this is not to bash white people, okay? I just want to make that clear. Just because there's a white person that says something, that doesn't mean all white people think the same. Because you got to remember, as a person of color, there was white people that helped a lot of black people get to where we are today. If it wasn't for them, I don't know where we would be in 2021. So let's keep everything in perspective here. We're not saying that every white person is racist, just like every white person should look at every black person because some knucklehead did something stupid. You shouldn't judge everyone on what that knucklehead did. And the same thing is in reverse. You shouldn't look at all white people and assume they're all racist, or look at them and assume they're all bad. That's not the case. But there is an element, just like in the military, for those of you that was that served in the military, because I've learned not everybody that watches this is in the military. But for those of you who are in the military, you've experienced it, especially older generations. You've experienced it. You've been called all kind of names. You've been passed over and given it to somebody else who didn't know half of what you knew. It has happened. It has happened. There's been situations where family members come in and, okay, well, this is my nephew, but we got this Sarge over here. Now we're gonna make my nephew section commander instead of this sergeant who's been here for 7 years and knows this place backwards and forwards. Okay, all that stuff happens, bro. We're all aware of it happening. Now the question becomes, what is the solution? Well, until we organize as a group and fight these things, they're never going to change. Like there are organizations out there, right, that are looking into this, that file reports, that listen to their federal employees, and they go after these systems. But a lot of times they're not made public to where we can affect change. You got to go through your Congress people, you got to go through your senators. That's the only way you're going to affect change. All this about just talking about it like I'm doing today. I'm talking about it, but I'm also trying to provide solutions, which is we got to talk to our Congress people and our senators because they're the ones who make the laws. They're the ones who make the laws. And if you're not talking to them, you're not letting them know what happened, they can't make any laws to change it. We're just having a dialogue and nothing's going to change from this dialogue. So I'm reaching out to the people who are watching me right now. Contact your senator. Contact your congressperson. Let them know, hey, this shouldn't still be going on in 2021. There's no way federal employees of color should be going through these things. There's no way veterans who serve with all these other people side by side should be going through this, where the VA looks at this file, sees that they're a person of color. Okay, well, I'm not going to give them the same rating I just gave the person before him who has something similar to what they have. That type of thing is definitely not right. What's up, Gil? How you doing? What up, J Love? How you doing today? Now, do you guys have any questions when it comes to this with being racist, dealing with the Department of Veterans Affairs, or do you guys have any stories you want to share about instances of things you witnessed while you were there that are different than your counterparts? Because when you go to the VA, you can kind of see it. If you think about it, you can kind of see it. There are situations, man, when people have walk-up appointments. I have an appointment. I'm supposed to see that doctor at 1. They just walked up. They don't even have an appointment. They're not supposed to go before people who have appointments. They will just see them and tell me, okay, you're going to have to wait another hour, another 30 minutes. That's when I just stopped going to appointments at the VA altogether and was so happy when they did that telehealth crap that I don't have to go through that anymore. Okay? There are instances where that does happen blatantly right in front of you. But the thing about it is you can't get upset. You can't jump up and just, act all crazy because they may ban you from coming there at all or put something in your records where you can't, even show up on the property. So you have to just do what? Manage your emotions. That's the best thing you can do. But I'm sure this has happened to a lot of you guys. I'm sure a lot of you guys have gone through this. But like I said, the best way to solve this issue is to talk to your congressperson or to talk to your senator. Write them a letter. Let them know what's going on. Because if you don't, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. This system is just going to keep moving along just the way it is. And it's a shame that you find out that a lot of people that make decisions about your life harbor feelings about you simply because of the color of your skin. You got judges out there, right, that make decisions every day about putting people in prison and all these other things. They're harboring feelings. Because if you don't think that a lot of these people who are in charge of our country right now don't have feelings like that, you're fooling yourself. They do. There's a lot of people out there, bro, that are in positions of power, including the police that are in positions of power, that once they see you, you could have somebody that has a clean record. Doesn't matter. The color of your skin is what they're going to judge you by. Instead of looking at evidence that show you don't have a speeding ticket. But because you're African American or because you're Latino or because you're Asian, they think a certain way about you. That is just the truth. And that stuff brings this way to this country. Unfortunately, it comes to these countries. You'll have people who come from the States. They may see you somewhere and decide to call you something, knowing you're probably not going to react the way you probably would in the States. Now, I've never had that happen to me, but I've seen a video, a young man that was here filming somewhere, white guy walked by, called him the N-word, and kept moving. That stuff happens. It happens. And that should just let you know, man, that regardless of where you go in the world, there are people like that everywhere. Everywhere. Didn't know the guy never knew him. He's just out filming for YouTube. And that happened. That is unfortunate. What's up, sir? How you doing today? Now, does anyone have any questions about any of the videos I put out lately? Because I put out a ton of videos lately. And I want to answer a comment that was left behind by Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark left a comment yesterday saying that his paperwork states that he is scheduled for no future exam. Yes, I have the same thing. But I have to tell you this, Mr. Clark. If you recently got out within the last 5 years, whether you're PNT or not, let me be absolutely clear with this. Whether you are permanent and total or not, does not matter. The Department of Veterans Affairs, under the law, has to review your file within the first 5 years. The reason why they do that is because of the 5-year rule. The 5-year rule basically states that the VA has to jump through more hoops in order to take something away versus the first 5 years that they can simply go in and say, you know what, we made a mistake. We're going to change this from 100% PNT and give you 60% instead. That's why they do that. Now, I'm not saying that to scare anyone or to make everybody think, oh, well, they're going to take it away. No. Most of the time, they'll do a review, just an overview of what they did, see that it's fine, and move on. So unless you file a claim, they will never look at your file again after that 5 years. But I don't want anybody to think that you coming out of the military, day one, they give you 100% PNT, that they're never going to look at that file again. That is not true. They're going to look at that file again within the first 5 years at some point to make sure that you have the correct rating. That's how that works. So please, I don't give a damn. They stamp it. No more reviews. Within the first 5 years, they're going to look at it. They have to. It's required by law. Can your VA provider, out of the blue, order healthcare service for you outside the VA? Is that normal? If they've deemed that it's necessary, yes. If it's a service that's not offered at the VA at the time, or they don't have any openings and it's something that you need right away, yes. That is normal. They can do that. That's happened to me several different times, especially when I was living in Yuma. I wasn't able to get to the VA in Phoenix. They would outsource someone to come by to check on me, do a welfare check. So yeah, that is not abnormal at all. Let's see, I've been on the Marines since 2004, started to receive VA benefits in 2018. Does the rule still apply to me? Yes, it goes by the date of service. Whatever date they gave you that began your service, that's the date. So for example, if you were given 80% in December 12th, 2018, then that's your date of service. They got until, 2018. So they got till 2023, December 12th of 2023. Yep. They're going to go back and they're going to review their file. Guys, I'm telling you, all this information is available on the VA's own website. You can go to pretty much any attorney. You can talk to the 800 number and they'll tell you this. They have to review your file. It's required by law. All that about no future exams is true. They're probably just going to look at your file. But if they look at your file and they notice a mistake that was made, can they change it? Absolutely. If they look at your file and the doctor wrote something wrong or wrote something that was intended for another veteran's file in your file and they catch it, oh, hell yeah, they can go back and change it. You haven't even reached the first 5-year mark where the first rule comes in to protect your benefits. That's why they do it within the first 5 years. That is done on purpose. Within 2 to 5 years from the date that they give you that rating, they're going to review your file. They have to review it. They have to. Skip one. Let's see. If you got 100% at the start of the month, then turn 55, and at the end of the month, it is best to file for PNT. Let's see. If you got your 100% at the start of the month, then turn 55. Yeah, now, if you're 55 and older and they just give you 100%, that's kind of an iffy one, because normally they would want to see at least some time behind having that 100% before they give you P&T. I'm not sure that they're just going to give you that right out the gate, because they want to see some consistency with you having it. Normally, the rule of thumb is they want to see it for at least 5 years before they even consider giving you P&T. Because just giving you 100%, that's cool. But the reason why they don't give you P&T is because they don't believe whatever you have is permanent in nature. When they give you P&T, that basically means that whatever you have, there's no chance of it ever getting better. That's why they give you P&T status. There's no chance that your arm is going to grow back. There's no chance that your leg is going to grow back. That's why you get P&T status. Or when you're in mental health, they looking at it like, nah, this guy ain't never going to be the same again. That's why they give you P&T. When they give you 100%, they give you 100% without P&T. It's the same thing with TDIU. When they don't give it, they think that whatever you have, you can either have corrective surgery for, or mental health, whatever, from talking to a psych, or they got medication that could probably make whatever it is better. That's why they do that. 100% P&T, okay, got it, okay. People, please be kind, be so kind, and select the like, dislike. Thank you, brothers and sisters, and fatigues. Oh, it's all good, Mr. Miles. Let's see. How does it work when you get 50%, then next year 70%, then 100% P&T? What do you mean, how does it work? Years of service? It still goes by the date that you got it. So if you got 50%, let's say in 2010, then let's say 2 years later, you got 70%, okay? Then let's say 2 years after that, you get 100% P&T. So when you say, how does it work? It all still goes by date of service. That 5 year kicks in on the 50% in 2010, 2015. 70% 2012, 2017. 100% in 2014, 2019. That's how that kicks in. It goes by the date of service. Some people get that confused and think as soon as they become 100%, it goes back to the date that they first got their first rating. No, it does not. It goes by the date that you got it. That's what it goes by. So for those of you that are less than 100%, your file is still going to be reviewed. Your file is still going to be reviewed, purgatory. They're still going to look at it. They're still going to periodically, when you less than 100%, they're going to periodically go back and check your file. Nothing normally happens, but they're going to go back and check it, just so you know. Now, people who are 100% P&T after 5 years, unless you go and you file a claim, they have no reason whatsoever to ever look at your file unless something dramatic happens. Like the doctor says all of a sudden, he's been committing fraud for the last 10 years. Now they're going to go open up their file and look and see what's going on. But prior to anything like that happening, they have zero reason to ever go back into your claim file. Hopefully that answers your question, LJ. I'm not exactly sure what you were asking there, but I'm hoping that's what you were asking. Now, any other questions when it comes to data service, when it comes to 100% P&T, when it comes to racism at the VA, or the 55-year-old rule, or any of the other things that I've put out lately that's been a lot of questions about? That 55-year-old video got a lot of you guys asking about that. And again, the VA kind of does their own thing. Now, like I said in that video, you can request a waiver. You're 55 years old or older, they're calling you in for a CMP exam, and it's not something that's serious, right? Like they're calling you in because the doctor says they made a mistake, then, hey, they made a mistake. But if they're calling you in just to do a routine CMP, they have no reason to do that. Request a waiver. And you can request a waiver on a lot of different things. Now, is it always good to request a waiver? Depends on what it is. Because if they're setting you up for a CMP exam for an increase, and you go, well, I'm just going to waive it. Well, the likelihood of you getting that increase are not very good since you waived your CMP exam, okay? Let's see, if you are 100% P&T, but one of the ratings is arthritis, in the future, you can get a joint replacement for that rating. is best to file that rating to up for SMC? Okay, I'm lost with that. I'm gonna try to read that again. Okay, for arthritis, in the future, you can get a joint replacement for that rating. Now that's a lot of different, Mr. Who's it, James? Now you're throwing a lot of things out there with a lot of what ifs, right? You got to be careful with that and what you tell people because that's a lot of what ifs. So you're saying if you have arthritis, right, on a particular joint, and you end up getting that joint replaced, that joint could change your rating and get you into the SMC category. Well, that's all going to depend. There's a lot of different factors behind that, okay? And you got to understand who you're dealing with, the Department of Veterans Affairs. They're supposed to be looking to help you with everything to get you the best they can give you. That's not always the case. So I would be careful telling people what they should do with certain things until it actually happens. Because that's a lot of presuming that this will get you to this and this is going to change it to that. That's not always the case of what happens, all right? There's a lot of cases like with mine personally where my left leg or my right leg should be exactly the same as my left leg. That's not what they did. They gave each individual part a rating on my left side, but they just gave me one overall rating on my right side. So I would be careful telling people stuff like that about in the future because rules change, laws change, the way they name things change all the time, all the time. If you look back at when you first had your rating, I can guarantee you it's not the same name and it doesn't give the same rating that it did when you first got it. So you should be careful when you tell people that because it always changes. Any other questions or comments when it comes to this with the VA? So we've been on what, 30 minutes? Any other questions? Because future videos I'm coming out with is I'm gonna do the bank, which is USAA Part 2 for the best banks for veterans. That's coming out this week. What else I got coming? New stuff about education. That's coming out this week. And I had one other thing I wanted to make sure I talked about. I can't remember what it was. I got a list already written out. But yeah. Oh, it's a question. Okay. Yeah, I thought you were saying that as a statement, okay? Because you can't go by things with the VA. Let's see. True statement. Appreciate that, Mr. B. Things at the VA change all the time. They change ratings requirements. They change the names of ratings. They change the max for certain ratings. They do that all the time, all the time. The one thing that I would say for the future that you guys may want to pay attention to, because I don't know how much you guys watch what happens with the Senate, what happens with Congress when they propose a lot of different bills. The one thing that I keep seeing pop up, but it never really gets any traction, but one day it's going to get traction, and that's veterans who are on TDIU. I'm going to say this, and I'm not saying this to scare anyone, but if you're on TDIU and you have the opportunity to go from TDIU to 100% scheduler, take that opportunity. Because at some point, and they keep bringing up this bill talking about this, people who are on TDIU, when you reach retirement age, at some point, they're going to cut that off. They're not going to continue to pay people that are on TDIU, whether you're PNT or not, beyond retirement age. Because you have to understand what TDIU is. TDIU is supposed to be for veterans who can no longer work. It's not supposed to be for veterans once you get to retirement age to continue to get paid all until you die. That was not what it's intended for. So there are bills currently in Congress right now to address that. And at some point, and I'm telling you all, at some point, they're going to make that a reality. So if you get the opportunity, if you're on TDIU and PNT, whatever it is, to get scheduler on the number, take that opportunity to become scheduler. Because once they make this change, that's going to affect a lot of veterans. And you got to look at it honestly. TDIU is what? For individuals, is for total disability due to individual unemployability. It doesn't say for life. So you got to understand that, guys who are on TDIU, at some point, that is going to change. That's going to change. So if you get the opportunity to become 100% on the number, take that opportunity. Thanks, Mr. Miles. Let's see. Extra scheduler, please rating. How does that work? Extra scheduler, SMC, works by your disability, the severeness of your disability. How severe is your disability? Or if you have loss of use, or you have missing, or you have multiples, missing foot, missing hand, or you have been permanently bedridden, or you've been bedridden to stay in the bed 3 out of 4 days out of the week, 3 or 4 days out of the week, or you're in need of aid and attendance. That's how that works. People who are blind, people who are deaf, people who cognitively, mental health wise, are not all there. They can't make decisions on their own. Those are all reasons why extra scheduler, which is SMC, come into play. Do you have a video about the VA plan for the new fast track system for claims? No, but I can definitely make one. I can definitely go into that and talk to, and I'm gonna try to get Mr. Flag. Mr. Flag's coming back. I don't know if you guys remember him from the old channel. He currently works at the VA in Phoenix, and I'll see if I can get him on to start giving out the newest information from the VA. Let's see. If you are rated SMCL, to get to the next SMCL and a half, is the percentage 50% between the two to qualify. Okay. So if you're at SMCL, which is basically the minimum for aid and attendance, and you're looking at going to L and a half, that's really going to depend. The percentage is great if you end up getting 50% more for something else, but that not necessarily mean they're going to take you to SMCL. They could tell you something else and say that this is part of this rating that you already have. It's not going to move the needle. But medical evidence and your doctor's statement is really what gets it there. For example, if your doctor says you need an assistance of another person for at least 2 or 3 days out of the week, that pretty much is going to get you to SMCL. That's going to get you minimum. But if your doctor comes out and says you need somebody with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's going to move you up a lot quicker than you just getting another 50%. You understand what I'm saying? Because they'll look at it sometimes the same way they look at mental health. They'll go with mental health. You may have 4 or 5 different ratings with mental health, but you're only going to get one rating. You could have bipolar disorder. You could have PTSD. You could have anxiety, depression. All of it be 80, 90%. You only going to get one rating. And that's the same way they're going to do with SMC. Just because you get another percentage, the VA sometimes will just roll it right in with something else and say, you know what? This is not going to move the needle. But if your doctor tells you this is what this person needs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's going to move the needle. SMCs, when it comes to that, aid and attendance, your percentage helps. Like if someone, for example, is 100% PTSD, they get another rating for their back at 60%. Well, that automatically is going to get them to SMCS. But if their doctor comes back and tells them, hey, he needs aid and attendance, even though he has that 100 and he has that 60, they're just going to move him right to the bottom, SMCL. So hopefully that answers your question. Good day. Appreciate all you vets for all you do to help vets. Oh, it's all good. Let me see. Is there another one? No, it's all good, man. I appreciate you coming on. Now, are there any other questions? I want to make sure I want to write this down real quick about the fast track. Hadn't thought about doing one for that one. I'll make sure to write that down. Fast track claims. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Do you recommend filing a claim if you already have 100% PNT? Only if it's going to benefit you somehow. It's got to benefit you. If I'm already 100% PNT, right? And I did a video talking about this. And in service, I remember I broke this finger. Okay. how is this finger going to help me with my 100%? Is it life-threatening? No. Will they not treat it if there's a problem with it? No. So I'm trying to think, what would be the possible reason to file this claim? If it's not going to put me in the SMC category, if it's not life-threatening, what's the benefit of it? If it's not going to move me into any other category or give me anything else, what is the benefit of filing that claim? What does it do other than have them open up your claim file and have it subject to review? What would be the benefit of that? Seriously. I'm serious when I say that. What is the benefit, guys? If you're looking at filing a claim, you already 100% P&T, and you're looking at filing a new claim, how would that new claim benefit you? That would be the question. That's my only question to you all for that. How is that filing that new claim going to benefit you? If it's going to get you monetary value, okay, I get that. That means you're going to get more money, cool. If it's life-threatening and it's something that could happen to you that could take your life where it would benefit the people behind you, I got that too. If it's something that's going to put you in the SMC category to get you more money coming in, I got that too. But if it ain't doing any of those three, why are you filing? You just want to add something else to your list of things you already got, but then you subject yourself up for a review. So what would be the benefit? It's all good, man. Let's see. I got 100% P&T. My paperwork says no future exams, so that means I won't get any within 5 years. No, it does not. I've said this now. I think I started out asking your question, Mr. Clark. Okay. And you can go to the VA's website, it'll show you this. You can call the 800 number, they'll tell you this. Or you can call any lawyer, they'll tell you this. Within the first 5 years, I don't care what your rating is, the VA by law has to review your file. It is required by law. They can rubber stamp, they can scribble it all over it, no future exams needed. But within the first 5 years of you having that claim, they're going to review that file. They have to. So that means absolutely nothing until after 5 years. After 5 years, give a damn what you do after that. But within the first 5 years, they're going to review that file. They have to. Let's see. You may need it for FMP. May need what, LJ? Wait. You may need the whatever you're talking about claiming for FMP. Is that what you're saying? Because again, think about it. Again, with this finger, what do you think is going to happen with this finger when you think you would need FMP, the Foreign Medical Program overseas, that you probably would have ended up paying for it anyway yourself? What is it what they're going to do with your finger? I mean, it's your finger. What is it they're going to do? Because if you're looking at it from the standpoint of, okay, I had my teeth, an issue with my teeth, right? And it's supposed to be service connected. It is not service connected, and you want to live overseas. And the only way to get free dental is by putting in a claim and getting free dental. Okay. Now I'll put it to you this way. Dental services here are so cheap, it is not even worth it to try to do that because of the cost. You can get your teeth cleaned here for $15. $15. How much is it in the States? Last time I did it was about $130, $145 to get your teeth cleaned. To me, it's not worth it because you're subjecting yourself to your file being reopened. And anytime your file is open, anything could be in there that's a mistake that somebody can catch. Now, instead of being 100%, you're now 70%. So to me, it's not worth the risk. Over what? Getting a teeth clean, getting a teeth pulled, your tooth pulled, well, you can pay $40 for that? Is that worth it? That's my point with that, LJ. You got to look at the big picture. If you're giving me something, right, and it's going to cost me this much money to get it done in a foreign country, is it worth me opening my file to do that? To save $40, to save $15? That's my question to you. Is it worth it? No problem, Mr. Clark. Let's see. Skip one. Yes. Yeah. To me, that's not worth it. It's not worth it for me opening my file up for that. That's not worth it. Let's see. Filing at the 100% PNT, if it causes death, another reason is if you only have one disability at 100, you may want to build up the disabilities. If you only have one at 100. Now, if you got other secondary claims that could put you in the SMC category, I see that. But if you only got, something that's going to give you 20%, you at 100, what is that 20% going to do for you? Again, you guys understand, you're opening up your claim file to where people could look at your file and the rules have changed and interpret something a totally different way than what that rater did who originally gave you that rating. That's my only point with this is like, why are you taking a chance on something when you already have something right now? You 100% P&T right now, right? But some of you guys want to go in and try to build up disabilities. What disability do you have? Because if you don't have a disability that's going to give you another 60% to get you to SMCS, what exactly are you filing for? Because all you're doing is they open it up the same file. They're going to go, okay, you keep filing. Let's see what else is in here. Let me see what else you got. Let's start from the beginning. Oh, well, wait a minute. Why did they give them 70% when this is only 30%? You understand what I'm saying? You guys need to be careful with that. Keep going to that well. You keep going to that well, what do they say? Until that well runs dry. You need to be careful with that. I guess there's a big difference between reviewing your file and calling you in for a reexamination. Correct. Most of the time, you guys will never know when it was done. Sometimes you can go to eBenefits to where your past claims were, and you can see in your past claims where they reviewed your file. Because you'll go, wait a minute, what is this? I never looked at my file. That's them reviewing your file. If you go to eBenefits, some of you guys go to eBenefits right now, go to your previous claims, and some of you all will see it in there where the VA has reviewed your file. So they don't always call you in for a reexamination, especially those of you who are 100% P&T. That's rare they call you in. There's got to be something that happened where the doctor has wrote something or some significant has come in and changed it to where they called you in. But most of the time, no, they're not going to call you in. They're just going to review your file. Okay, I got frostbitten in Germany, but they deny service connection, but sometimes they hurt. Okay, so your feet sometimes hurt. Got it. You're 100%, right, LJ? So you're currently in the DR. If you went to Florida for your feet, right, are they going to deny seeing you for your feet? You can go to a hospital, any hospital in Florida. Are they going to deny seeing you for your feet? Now, I don't know if you got health insurance or not. I should clarify that. But let's say you don't have health insurance. You go down to Florida. You need to go to the emergency room as soon as you get off the plane. You don't have health insurance. Is the VA going to charge you anything for going to the hospital about your feet? Just asking. Because if they're not going to charge you anything, LJ, again, why are you going to open your file up? Because if you're telling me you going to the DR and you never going back to the United States of America, I'm still kind of iffy on that, but okay. But if you're telling me you're 100% P&T, you plan on going back to the States, there's absolutely no reason whatsoever for your feet. You're not saying that they're going to cut your feet off or anything like that. You're just saying they hurt, right? But you're willing to open up your claim file over that. No way, bro. There's no way. That's not life-threatening. That's not going to get you in the SMC category. There's no way. I personally would do that. Let's see. I have a friend 100% for PTSD. He was told to file for his other issues to get P&T. Really? To file for his other issues? Okay. I mean, guys, do what you all want to do. But I'm telling you straight up, you keep digging in that well. Picture it like a child. Every week, this child's coming to you for something. They're an adult now. They coming to you every week for something, right? We all human beings. How long you going to put up with it before you say, look, man, hey, I've done this, I've given you this. and now you still coming to me for more. What's the natural human reaction? Because you never remember, you're not dealing with a computer when you file these claims. You're dealing with people. These are people that you're dealing with that keep seeing the same person over and over and over again. All right? What is the natural reaction a person is going to, and I'm talking from a human being standpoint. What's the natural reaction you're going to have if somebody keeps coming to you over and over with the same thing, time after time after time? Damn. Well, what can we do to start taking some of this away? How are we going to stop this? They keep filing these claims. Let's get their attention. Let's take something away. Now, I'm not saying that's precisely what's going to happen, but I'm trying to get you guys to understand something. You cannot keep going to that well over and over and over again, beating that dead horse, expecting to get results. At some point, they're going to turn around and say, enough of this. Enough. It's all good, Mr. Miles. Racism. Okay, that was the topic today. So you're 100% PNT. Again, LJ, if you never plan on going back to America, I got it. But for your feet and they just hurt, man, I just don't see that being something that, unless you're telling me that you're about to get loss of use, like they're gonna tell you, you develop foot drop, or you develop some situation where you won't be able to walk anymore, that you're gonna be sitting in a wheelchair. Because if it just hurt, you don't have flat feet where they can be rated bilateral, and that's still not gonna get you in 100%. That's not gonna get you in the SMC category. You're gonna have to tell me something. For me, you got to tell me something to where it benefits you to file that. Because just because they hurt and you can't get it free in the DR, how much do you think it costs for them to just look at your feet and give you some medication that you could probably get on your own in the DR? Real talk. Versus taking a chance and filing a claim and something going wrong. Because that's the biggest point I want you guys to understand. When you take that chance, every time you file something with the VA, you give them the opportunity to go right back through your file. No problem, man. Let's see. Sounds like Dr. Dre and his daughter. Great advice. Let's see. I'm done. I don't put in for anything else since I'm 100% PNT SMC. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, man. Now, with my situation, it's a little bit different. I want to be clear what I'm saying and why I went to that PNT exam. CMP exam. The only reason I did that is because the doctors here wrote that it got much worse than it was before. And then the VA noticed that in the file. Okay, because my other doctor filled out another form because she didn't know I was already getting SMC. She filled out a form on her own for me to get SMC aid and attendance. I'm already getting it. They didn't know that. So when they called me, they said, hey, your doctor's saying your leg is much worse than it was when it was originally examined 4 years ago. Do you want to do this CMP exam? Because we would like to see if it's worse. I said, okay, yeah, because it is worse. So that's why I went to that CMP, because I'm going to end up going from L to either L.5, or I forgot what the next one was. Can't remember what the next one was. But I know I'm going to end up moving up. That's why I did it. If it was a situation when we're thinking about, well, the doctor didn't know you already have SMCL, but we want to send you to the CMP to just check to make sure you still need it, then I'll say, hell no. I'm not risking that chance of you all taking something away. No. But that's why I did it, because I know they're getting ready to move me up. Let's see, change your number so they cannot call anymore. No, don't change your number. Don't change your number, dude. Hell no. Hell no. See, that's another thing. That's another mistake a lot of veterans make. And I want to be clear when I say this, man. Do you all realize that if the VA tries to get a hold of you, or Social Security tries to get a hold of you, after 90 days, they can just cut your shit off? Do you all realize that? Do you know how many people have lost their benefits simply because the VA can't get a hold of them? And the one way they know they can get a hold of you is to cut off your benefits. You all do realize that, right? Because I talked about this, man, when people were talking about, well, the VA took something away, or Social Security took it away. Most of the time they take stuff away because they cannot get a hold of people. People will move, not give their new address, not give their new phone number. 90 days later, they ain't getting that check no more, and they don't know why. Because they trying to get a hold of you for a reason. Now, there was someone on here that asked me a question about they had to have a re-examination, but their dad, who recently got 100% P&T, didn't get an examination. Why was that? How old is your dad? Is he over 55? That would answer that. Because when you hit 55 under federal guidelines, they're not supposed to be doing anything else with you, unless there are special circumstances. They're not supposed to be doing anything. They will send letters, and people won't respond. They'll send letters, they'll send emails, they'll make phone calls. Y'all don't have no idea, man. There's a lot of veterans out there, bro. They will not make phone calls. They won't call them back. They won't answer letters. They won't do nothing until they take it away. Then they out there screaming about the VA is wrong, the government's wrong, but they never say, oh, well, they sent me like 10 letters I never responded to. They never say that part. That is exactly what I'm talking about. It is best to file again if your issues got worse, resulting in joint replacement. Well, not just joint replacement, but you were saying something very specific, right? And what I'm telling you, Mr. James, in your original assessment, when you were saying file for something, first of all, you're predicting something in the future. You don't know that's how it's going to turn out. And that's all I was saying, because they change the language all the time. The language, I'm telling you, go back and look at your original claim. If you got your C file, your compensation file, go back and look at what you were originally rated and what it was called, and look at what it's called today. It's not the same. Look at what the rating was back then, and then look at what the rating is now. It's not the same. So to predict something for the future, there's no way you can know that, because they keep changing it. Every few years, they change what it's called, what's the max rating. So there's no way you can future-proof that. You see the Moderna stock? No, I haven't even looked at anything, man. I haven't been on day trading or doing anything with stocks lately. I know that the VA changes their numbers so you cannot call them. Now, for those of you that do have other questions and you need to talk to someone at the VA, you guys are aware that the VA has a 411, right? What is it? 1-800-VETS-411. I think that's right. Is it VETS? It's something like that. 1-800-4VETS or 1-800. Hold up. I got to look it up real quick. They do have a 411 now for the Department of Veterans Affairs. So is it 1-800-VETS 411? Is that right? No. 411. There's a 411. What did I do with it? I got to put it on here somewhere. I may pin it on here. But there is a 411 for veterans. So if you have an issue, for example, I have an issue right now, no one seems to give me the answer to. And I have researched it. I have talked to prosthetics. I have talked to the helpline. I've talked to FMP. And that issue is, if I stop going to Phoenix, putting in my clothing allowance Phoenix, and I just stay in Columbia permanently, who gets my CMP paperwork? I mean, not CMP, my clothing allowance paperwork. Where does it go? Nobody has an answer. Nobody. Nobody has an answer to that, right? So if you're a veteran overseas and you're getting a clothing allowance, please explain how you're getting a clothing allowance if you never go back to the States. If you're not going back to your primary care in the States, if you don't talk to them at all, please explain, where does your clothing allowance go? Because I'm curious. I've been trying to find out for the last 6 months. Because I'm like, okay, if I don't have a reason, the only reason I was planning on going back to the States in September was to get the corona shot. Well, since I'm getting it here, I really don't have a reason to go back to the States. So I'm trying to figure out who gets my clothing allowance if I just stop going to the States. Because after 2 years, if I don't go to Phoenix, Phoenix will no longer be my primary care. So where does it go? Nobody seems to know. Last question. If you have 2 bilateral joint replacements, will that qualify you for SMC? That's going to depend on your doctor's statement. Just having joint replacement does not guarantee you that you're going to get into SMC. That's going to depend on what your doctors say. Because you can have hip replacement and be just fine. There are people that have replacements with modern technology now and go right back out to living their normal life. So just because you had the surgery, that doesn't mean that's going to get you in the SMC category. I want to be clear with that. But it depends on what your doctor writes in their statement, right? If you go to a doctor, you had 2 hip replacements, and your doctor goes, okay, he's about moderate. He's not where he was, but he's about moderate to where he was. And he's able to do everything before. He doesn't need the help of another person to get up in the morning, go to the bathroom, go to the shower. Why would they change you to something else simply because you had hip replacement surgery and you're still able to function like you normally would? You understand what I'm saying? If you didn't have it before the hip surgery, and as bad as your hips are, which is required, which is why you're getting the hip surgery, but once you have the hip surgery, you're better than what you was, what would be the reason to give you SMC? Just because you had the surgery? No. You got to understand how they think about it. You got to understand how the government sees it. We're talking about the United States of America government. We're not talking about individuals who just going through something. You got to understand that. You got to look at the whole situation and understand, if I'm having surgery to make something better. I'm not having surgery to make something worse. So if I have the hip surgery and it makes it better, why would they put me in the SMC category? That's the only thing I'm asking you is, like, you're having surgery to get something better. You're not having surgery just to replace it so they can put you in the SMC category. Because if that's the case, and I'm guessing that you've already had some of these joint replacements, which is why you're asking these questions. You've had some of these situations. And my thing to you, sir, is this. If you're having it and it's making it better, because that defeats the purpose of you needing help. If you needed help when you had the bad hips, okay, I got it. But the surgery is to correct the problem. The surgery is not to give you surgery and then give you extra on top. You're defeating the purpose. You follow what I'm saying? Let's see. I use secure messaging on my Healthy Vet website, and I always get in contact with my primary care. Yes. Yeah, I do the same thing here. But like I said, with clothing allowance, dude, I'm trying to find an answer to that. Because if I don't have to go back to the States, I won't go back to the States. Because I was just there and saw the doctor when I was just there in December. So that would have been December of 2020. So if I don't go back for the next 2 years and then I lose Phoenix as my primary care, where does my clothing allowance go? Nobody has an answer to that question. Let's see. I went from 70 to 100 at 55, now 58. What does that mean about the 5-year rule for me? You went from 70 to 100 PNT at 55. Now you're 58. What does that mean for the? Well, again, if it's within the first 5 years, Leonard, they have to review your file by law. They have to. They're just going to look at it. It's not like they're going to call you in, make you do another CMP for everything that happened to you, and say, okay, we're going to make a decision. No, most of the time they open your file, they see what's in there, they just review it, everything checks out, cool. They close your file, you go on with your life. You're done. Done story. It's over. Okay, now you're starting to get specific, James, because obviously these things have happened to you and you're trying to figure out a way to get into the SMC category. And again, I don't think you understand the purpose of your surgeries that you had. Surgery is to correct issues, not to give you surgery and then put you in the SMC category. Now, if you have foot drop, and this is just speaking in general, if you have foot drop, depending on what they rated foot drop, then that would get you into the SMC category for K. But if you are foot drop at 20%, I ain't gonna give you nothing. You need a minimum of 40% to get into to SMCK for foot drop. Minimum 40%. There are plenty of people who have foot drop, right? Whether it's mild, moderate, or severe. And if you don't have at least 40%, that's not gonna get you anything. Whether you had hip surgery, whether you had back surgery, or any other kind of surgery, if you don't have the percentages, if you don't have the medical evidence, if you don't have the doctor saying you need these things, just because you have them, it doesn't mean that that's what you're going to get. Again, with me and my situation, I have what I'm rated 60% now for foot drop. You only need 40, minimum 40, to get you into SMC for loss of use. The same thing with these surgeries you're talking about, bro. If you've had hip replacement on both hips, but you don't need no help getting around, you basically better than you was before you had the surgery, they're gonna go, well, why do we need to pay you if you're better? That's all I'm saying to you, James. You gotta understand how that works. Listen to Markel, 100% PNT SMC just because I listen to him. Hey, I appreciate that, LJ. That's all I'm saying to you guys, man. It's just sometimes look at the human aspect of it, because you got to understand there's human beings that are making these decisions. And if I'm someone who just paid for you to have surgery, you just had the surgery, and now you're better from the surgery, why would I give you more money? I know it sounds ridiculous because you had surgery, but if it made you better, why would I then put you in the SMC category? That's all I'm saying. It's just like, you guys think about what you're saying, because if it made you better, why would they do that? And that's all I'm saying. All right, guys, that's going to be it, man. I appreciate everybody coming on, asking all the questions. I will try to get that video out, Mr. Thomas, about fast track. That's an important one. I completely overlooked that one, so I'll make sure I get something out about the fast track. But other than that, guys, I appreciate everybody watching as always. Until the next time, guys, I am out. Peace.